Welcome to the ISO for Growth, the podcast where we strip away the jargon and help small business owners build better, stronger and more scalable companies through the power of ISO standards. Let's get started. Good morning, Rino.
Morning, Jenny.
How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you for asking. So welcome to the ISO for Growth podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's nice to have you here. And so for the purpose of our listeners, the purpose again of the ISO podcast is for small companies who are interested in getting to understand more about what ISO is, eliminate all the jargon that they often will probably hear, what we say, try and make it nice and simple as possible. So really going to focus on, the role of the consultant within the ISO process. So we'll just have a great conversation, hopefully.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah. So Rino, tell me a bit about yourself, your role here at Synergos Consultancy.
Okay, so I'm the lead consultant at Synergos Consultancy, and I support different businesses from healthcare to information security, obviously with the support of the team in implementing ISO management systems. When I'm not doing that, I'm in the gym. I'm watching football and just spending time with family.
Yeah. So you've got a team of consultants that you support. Yes. And what happens when a new consultant comes into our business then? How do you support them?
Typically when a new consultant comes in, we always put them through the Synergos Training Academy. So this is just the best platform, and in my opinion, the best academy to get consultants well up to speed on how we work and how to support businesses in the ISO industry.
Yeah, good. So all the consultants lean into you then in your expertise, then I take it?
Not just me. I like to take credit for it. But obviously we do have a good compliance team around us. So they also support us with what I'll say also important bits, the admin bits, and just tidying up certain areas. So
yeah. Oh, very good. So our guest last week, Tom Wheat from PGR Certification, talked us about, I guess, the formal approach to ISO, But what Tom couldn't tell us or could go into detail is from a consultant's point of view. So, he talked about the UKAS element and whether this was important or not. From your perspective as a consultant here, what are the steps? What are the key steps that we take our clients through then to get an ISO certification? We'll start off with a gap analysis, for example, which is typical.
Yeah, I think our key steps generally are three main activities.
Okay.
So the gap analysis, like you've mentioned, is the core one, because that sets the tone for the other activities. That just lets us know how much work or how much changes we're going to implement with the business to aligning them to the ISO standard.
Okay.
And then the second activity, which is very much important, is the internal audits. And this could be one, depending on the ISO standard, but you could have several audits in terms of, depending on the ISO standard itself. So when I mean several audits, I mean different parts of the audit. So typically for your core ISO standards, ISO 9001, 14 or 27, you tend to have, for 9001, just one audit that covers the management clause.
Okay.
But when you look at ISO 14001 and 27001, it's a bit more in-depth, because with 14001, it does cover elements such as legislations, which are around compliance obligations to the environment.
Okay.
And then for the 27001, it goes into a bit more technical size of it. So, for example, we're looking at things such as access control mechanisms. You're looking at development initiatives. That is different. Basically, the importance of the internal audits across the ISO standards.
Okay.
And the third activity, which is kind of like a review, as the name goes, is a management review meeting.
Okay.
So this is ensuring that all the things you've put in place, all the improvements you've made from those initial two activities are fully embedded in the management system and the business. So that gives the business and you as a consultant confidence moving into the next activity, which is not part of our activities, but it's an external audit.
Okay. So you mentioned 9001, 14,001, 27,001. And yes, let's just be honest, you and I know what that means.
Yes.
But for our listeners, can you explain what these numbers actually associate? What's the meaning behind them?
No problem. So, and thank you for that, because For 9001, this is more associated with a quality management system.
Quality.
So this involves the quality of, if you're a product-based business, in terms of the product you're making it to a quality standard or to specific standards or specifications.
Yes.
Or if you look at a quality service that you provide, so like ourselves, Synergos, we provide an ISO service, which we gauge against a quality management service in terms of the quality of service we're providing.
Yes.
And then you look at ISO 14001, which is very much dedicated to the environmental side of the world.
Yes.
So looking at your impacts, not only from climate change, but on climate change as well.
Yeah.
Looking at how business activities impact the environment, etc. And then you have ISO 27001, which is strictly information security related.
Yeah.
So this is very much a technical standard, in my opinion, because there are areas which I've mentioned previously, like access control. And then you look at other areas of information security, not just the data-driven parts, but physical elements. So what is keeping the physical security of your information security?
Yeah. So the ISO, they always have these numbers associated to it, but they have a clear meaning
100%
behind
100%.
them, don't they?
So the numbers are not generated in any specific order, to be honest. They could be different numbers, but the more important thing is that you know exactly what the number represents. So if businesses want to embark on ISO 27001, they have to think of information security related activities. If they want to embark on 9001, then it's down to the quality side of things.
Yeah. And in terms of ISO, there's like thousands, I believe, isn't there? Thousands of them.
There's so many ISO standards.
Yeah. But I guess they're the core ones,
they're
aren't
definitely
they?
the core ones. So typically when you see a business embarking on an ISO standard, they're going for one of those three I mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's either the quality, 9001, 14001 as environmental, and 27001 as information security.
And am I right in thinking that the 9001, the quality management system, is really the fundamental foundation of most of the management systems out there?
I think 100% it is the bedrock. I think if you do have an ISO 9001 quality management system, you have the best platform to build other ISO standards on. Regardless of the number.
Regardless of the number, these complicated numbers. I'm not even really sure the reason why they have these numbers, to be honest.
Honestly, I don't know either. I think obviously UKAS is the external body within the UK. So do they generate these numbers? I can't say, but
maybe it's something we could look into, share with our listeners.
Definitely. Why these numbers are the way they are.
Yeah. And who comes up with the numbers?
Who comes up with the numbers, 100%.
Yeah. So there are many elements, as you've mentioned, you mentioned 3 core stages. So there's many elements, as we know as consultants, behind those stages. From starting with a gap analysis, which is typically where we would always start 100%. When we're working with a new client. When we've done the gap analysis, it's very unusual that we don't find any findings, because we've got the standard in one hand and then we've got the business in the other. And what we're trying to look at, as the title says, look where the gap is between the standard and how the business is operating. So when a business is not already certified, so a brand new business going down this journey, when they're not certified at this moment, we don't call the findings non-conformances.
No, we don't.
We don't. But can we explain what that actually means? So although we don't call it a non-conformance, there's still findings. And what are these findings? What are non-conformances then?
Right. So I'll first answer what a non-conformance is. So a non-conformance is when a business doesn't comply with the rules of the standard. So a non-conformance can be broken down into a minor non-conformance, and it can be broken down into a major non-conformance. And basically the name explains itself. A minor non-conformance is what I will explain as you not fully complying with the ISO standard. So if the ISO standard expected you to have 100% compliance, which it always does. And you have only met it to 85 to 90%. You could still fall short of that being a minor non-conformance. But a major non-conformance is when you completely ignore the standards rules. So an example is in ISO 9001, one of the rules of the standard is to have a quality policy.
Okay.
And if you embark on an audit and you don't have a quality policy that is signed, that has been reviewed by the relevant management representative, it would lead to a major non-conformance.
Yes.
Because you are blatantly not listening to the rules of the ISO standard.
Yeah.
But to bring that context back into a minor non-conformance, for example, you did have a quality policy in place.
Yes.
And the quality policy had been signed in 2024.
Yes.
Mind you, we're in 2026 right now. And obviously, that is you not complying to the ISO standards rules, because it does say have a policy and it has to be signed year in, year out.
Yeah.
But you've presented a policy that was signed 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So that could lead to a minor non-conformance, because it's 100% saying that you have to have it signed and in place, but you have it in place, but you had it signed 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So you're not quite there.
You're not quite there, yeah. So that's clear difference. So so the major what we're saying here is that you are ignoring the requirements of the standard
by not having a quality policy whatsoever.
Having it, yes. And then on the other hand, a minor is you've got it in place, but it's not quite right.
Exactly.
It's just a little bit short.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah. So do we tend to find quite a bit of a gap when we're doing these gap analysis? You know, when we start working with a client,
100%.
do we tend to find we'll call them findings because they're not non-conformances at this stage, but yeah.
And I'll go a bit into that. Another reason, obviously, why we don't call them non-conformances at that stage of the gap analysis is the business isn't certified to any ISO standard.
Yeah.
So we can't say you're not compliant to a standard you're not certified to. So we just tend to raise those as findings and / actions that we'll look into and make sure that we close this out.
So when does it become a non-conformance then?
Good question. So it becomes a non-conformance when you've implemented a management system. When a business has implemented a management system that is meeting the standards requirements.
Okay.
So to give you a big picture of what I'm trying to say here is a business A has conducted a gap analysis and there's a lot of findings, like we've just said. Now, the business has plugged those findings. They've put things in place to make sure that those findings no longer exist. And therefore, they have built a management system. Now, the management system hasn't been certified by the external certification body yet. So you're not ISO certified, but you are working in the lines of the ISO requirements.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can present that management system for an audit.
Yes.
And that audit will be audited against the requirements of the ISO standard.
Yes.
But at the same time, at that point in time, because you're working towards the requirements, you can fall short there as a minor non-conformance or a major non-conformance.
Yes, yeah. Okay. You've explained that really well.
Thank you.
So over the years, we've noticed that some of our clients want us to lead, on maintaining their ISO management system. And what we mean by that is they've been certified. So they've got their lovely shiny certificate. Yes. Everybody's happy. Champagne's been...
Everyone's delighted at that point.
Yeah. And so some of our clients want us to carry on looking after them, basically, to ensure that year on year they retain their certification, because we do know that if they don't meet the requirements year on year, they run the risk of losing it.
Yes.
And that's another story in itself. And then we've got some of our clients who actually have enjoyed the process to get that certificate, but feel like they have got... the capabilities, the resource in-house to actually look after the certification themselves. So on the back of that, you developed the Synergos Training Academy. So well done. Tell me how this came about. You know, what was the sort of root cause of it to come about, and how the Training Academy has been helping the clients that have attended.
Right. So how the Training Academy came about was honestly down to my passion for training and development.
Yeah.
So I thought that the best way to serve our clients is to definitely have, when our consultants come in, to know that there is a standard of a consultant, just like the ISO standard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is a certain way a consultant would work with different businesses across different industries to implement a management system.
Yeah.
So one thing that for sure is that every management system is bespoke, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. Therefore, when the training academy did come into place, we had to ensure that when we have consultants coming and consultants who are dealing with our clients and going to these different businesses, they're able to tailor that mindset to know that the ISO standard is not a one size fits all.
Yes.
That what you implemented for client A in construction is not the same thing you'll be implementing for client B in healthcare or client C in information security. So the training academy is really to equip consultants and auditors, should they want to embark on that journey as well, as to swap your mind from a typical yes and no tick box exercise, but to ensure that you're creating value, which is very important, and also ensure that you're meeting the ISO standards.
Yeah. So the consultants that come into the business all have to go through
100%.
the training academy.
So
even whether they come with experience or not, we still guide them through.
Yes, regardless of the experience you have in whatever ISO standard or that you have dealt with in the past, every consultant that goes through the Synergos training academy.
Yeah.
And you're also, when you do graduate, you do have a certificate, obviously showing that you've been through this academy and demonstrating your competence.
Yeah. And how's that helped? How's the training academy helped some of our clients that have
I think it's helped our clients a lot, to be honest, because one thing our clients expect from us is to constantly add value to that management system and that business overall.
Yeah.
And if you did have consultants coming in who were just one-sided, who couldn't expand their knowledge or expand their competence to fit your requirements to the ISO standard, then that wouldn't work for you. So definitely, I think our clients are benefiting from having consultants who can work across different industries and different ISO standards.
And what's a lovely thing about the academy as well, it's not just for our consultants. So we do have clients that actually attend the academy as well,
100%.
because they would like to have more involvement in managing their own ISO system. So, you know, 100%. we do help them as well.
Yeah, and that also just falls back, I think, on what you mentioned in terms of the growth of businesses, because when we do have clients who bring some of their employees into our academy for training, is definitely improving the growth of that business and the competence levels of that employee within the business. So you would have a competent ISO consultant dealing with your management system in-house or external.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is well done, Rino. It's a good addition to...
It wasn't just me. You helped as well.
Oh, okay, then. Bit of partnership going on here. But I must say that you did lead on it and you still do lead on it. So, no, well done. So companies often think partnering with a consultant can just be a cost they can do without, you know, not quite understanding the I guess the importance of the role that we play. How does having an expert on hand really help our clients? You know,
in my opinion, I think every business should have an ISO consultant.
Okay.
I think it's necessary in terms of ISO has a lot of information and a lot of detail and what we like to say, a lot of jargon.
Yeah. Yes.
To a normal person or anyone who just has a busy day might not have the time for and might not understand.
Yeah.
And especially translating your business operations to meeting the requirements is a very difficult task, in my opinion. So I think having that external resource or having that resource in general of an ISO consultant supporting your business and supporting your management system is key to maintaining your management system.
Yeah.
Because the best example of what I'm trying to say here is if you are a business owner, which a lot of our listeners are business owners, and they are currently managing their management system by themselves. One of the key activities we mentioned earlier was an internal audit.
Yes.
And you conducting an internal audit by yourself you're marking your own homework.
Yeah.
So you're never going to have that objective view, which it doesn't say so in the standards requirements, but I think it's a hidden requirement to have that objective view. So it's more important that businesses have that resource of an ISO consultant, which can help obviously that objectivity, making sure that you're not just compliant on everything. And don't get me wrong, we're not trying to look for non-compliance here, but we're trying to look for improvements and ensure that your management system is not just a tick box exercise.
Yes.
It's an exercise that is improving the business, and marking your own homework doesn't really do that.
Yeah, and that's the idea of having an ISO management system. It doesn't really matter which ISO system you have. They're all built on this continuous improvement. And, as consultants, we're going into that business with a pair of fresh eyes, and we're looking to add value and help them to ultimately to grow. And you sitting there looking at your own piece of work, you can get a little bit blasé about it and go, yeah, that's fine. And that's, for those who want to do that, that's absolutely fine, because, I guess everyone has an ISO management system for a number of reasons.
Yes.
Some may need it or want it because to be on the supply chain. So their suppliers have said, look, you need to have it. Yeah. And then we'll have some who just want it because they want to see that internal improvement. But actually having a third party, i.e. ourselves, who work in partnership with a company, we can look at it from an objective point of view and keep adding value as we're moving along. Yeah.
100%. And even though we are a third party, but businesses can look at us as an extension of their team.
Yes, absolutely.
Because whatever we find in an internal audit, whatever we find in a gap analysis, it's our job, with the support of that team, obviously at the time, to fix that. So
absolutely.
Your management system, the business management system, is in the best position to embark on its external audit.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Yeah, it's really good. So, Rino, how do you ensure that an ISO system you have built or we have built as a business fits the culture of that business? And it's not just, you touched on the tick box, let's not kid our listeners, there are an array of ISO services out there, and they all vary. Yeah. Some you can just buy off the shelf and put your company name in there, and it's yours. So, so how do we work to ensure that it becomes relevant to that business?
How we work to ensure it's relevant, and I think this is a really good feature of Synergos and ourselves, is we truly add that human value to that aspect. Mm-hmm. So I know you mentioned now that you could buy some ISO management systems off the shelf and just change your name to it. But to ensure that it is adding value, and how we really work is we use the gap analysis as the best platform. Yeah. So that gap analysis it's kind of, if you think of it as when you've just gotten into a relationship, when everything is fresh, and you're starting off at a clean slate. Yeah. So at that point in time, we are not there to change everything around. Yeah. We are there to find areas that already fit the management system. Yes. So from a business point of view, the business is not having to change many things. Yes. We are just bringing into light that, listen, you are compliant with this aspect. And where you may fall short of, which I like to say maybe a crime scene, is our jobs as well to work alongside you to find the best solution that fits into that plugs that hole, basically. Yeah. An example of what I'll say here is a common theme about ISO management systems is, and this cuts across all ISO management systems, is identifying risks, identifying objectives, changes. And as a business, you might already have a platform, you might already have a system where you're already identifying these risks, you're already documenting them, you're tracking them moving forward. Our job is not to come in there and change that. Our job is to highlight how you're already meeting the requirements with that, what you're doing right there. So I think, to answer the question initially, the gap analysis gives ourselves and gives clients the best platform to start that relationship on a good note, and make sure that, at the end of the day, when we have finished that gap analysis, you can clearly see that, okay, we're going to be working in a way that fits the business, not Synergos or ISO consultants coming to change how.
Yes. And there are all really good valid points that you make there, because, there is this fear factor that, consultants will go into a business and turn it upside down. 100%. We've heard, certainly myself, and I'm sure you have over the years, well, my business is fine. Why do I need to implement this? I'm doing okay. And they are doing okay. And that's not what we're saying. All we're saying is that we just want to make sure that your business is compliant with the requirements of that chosen standard. So we're not there to turn it upside down. If you're doing something that already meets the requirement,
we're going to point it out.
Happy days. Everybody's happy. Exactly. We certainly don't want to be creating more work for ourselves or certainly
or you, or definitely
or
for you.
Yeah, exactly, for our clients. Yeah, we want it to be a nice, smooth process and not a stressful one.
Exactly.
It's very true. So, yes. So when we've taken someone through the ISO process, we've gone through all these various stages, and over time, the podcast will start digging deeper and explain these steps a little bit further. So the stage 2 assessment, quite the most formal part of the ISO process, right at the finishing line. So we've come to that finishing line with our clients, and we get the external auditor saying those amazing words, "You have been recommended," and Tom, the magic words, and Tom last week on the podcast explained why we say the term recommended. We can't say that you are certified because it has to go through technical assessment. So that's for anyone listening and wants to just recap on that video, then feel free to do so. So tell me about when a client is informed that they've been recommended. What's the feeling like in the room? I mean. Yeah,
I think, for us personally, for us consultants, it's a really good feeling because it just shows the hard work that you've put in place from the beginning up until the end. Is a really good feeling, and I can imagine for our clients, especially from my experience, that big smiles across the room. Everyone is there's a lot of relief as well.
There is a
because
lot of relief.
even though the whole process has gone smoothly. And the external audit at that point in time has gone smoothly. It's still a huge relief because you feel like all the hard work you put in, all the changes you've had to implement, all the what I'll say convincing, but not really convincing, but getting a management system on board with everyone does take a lot of communication and to an extent convincing as all bear fruit. So the feeling it's a really good feeling. I think it's a feeling you should be proud of.
Yes.
As an ISO consultant, as a business owner, you should be proud of this. Because from your point of view, you've worked with a resource or a third party from the beginning to the end, and it's bear fruit. So it's a good feeling.
It is a nice relief, isn't it?
It's a relief.
Because, some of our clients can feel quite anxious because of the unknown. And, as an experienced consultant yourself, you've been through this hundreds and hundreds of times. And so it's just become it's like brushing your teeth every day, isn't it?
It's just like getting up in the morning and just going through it. But I honestly, I still feel very much happy when I hear those magic words. When you've been recommended for XYZ ISO certification. Because the next step's quite all right. It has to go through the technical, and that is a process for the external bodies. But at that point in time, it just takes weight off your shoulders, takes weight off the business shoulders, and everyone seems happy.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's really good. So, Rino, finally, on a last note, what's the best bit about your role? What do you enjoy the most?
I think the best bit of my role is actually at the beginning, to be honest, of dealing with a management system, because I get to, luckily in my role, I get to speak to different businesses from different industries, and it gives me a huge insight and knowledge about how businesses operate. For example, we're talking about different industries, and I think that's the best part of my role, because I get to visit our amazing clients, and I get to see how their operations are functioning. As most times as well, I get to see the changes that we've brought in as ISO consultants in that business and how they are utilizing this. And that gives me a smile. So
that is a nice feeling. That is a nice feeling. 100%. Yeah. Well, Rino, thank you so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate you. Oh, you're welcome. And I hope you'll come back on one day again, have another lovely conversation. But thank you for being our lead consultant here at Synergos. And look forward to speaking to you again.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenny.
Have a good day.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. That's all from today's episode of ISO for Growth. Remember, ISO isn't designed to cause you stress. It's the foundation that allows you to grow your business. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please hit the follow button. I'll be forever grateful. I'm Jenny Kilburn, and I'll see you next time.